guys, I want to talk to you guys today about heels and what you need to know, especially if you're just getting started walking in heels or you want to learn how to walk in heels better. The number one thing I would say is you really want your ankles to be strong, especially if you have weak ankles. I know for me, before I started walking in heels, I had a history of spraining my ankles. One ankle was significantly weaker than the other even. So that's really important because there are going to be at least once in your time walking in heels where you are going to twist your ankle. You know, you're going to slide or you're going to step funny, and that can really hurt, and that can cause a sprain. It can cause you a lot of pain for a long time. But if you exercise and you stretch your ankles regularly, they will get stronger. And when those twists and missteps happen, it won't be as devastating. It will be something that you will most of the time just be able to walk off. So one of the things that you can do for that is just, either while you're sitting or laying down, you can just write the ABCs with your ankle. So just trace out the letters of the alphabet with your ankle and then do it with both ankles. And you want to do that once or twice a day. That just really works the muscles. Try to make the letters as neat as you can with that joint the best that you can do. And that's just going to really help to build muscle in your ankles. The other thing that you can do is when you're standing, you can even hold on to a counter. You don't have to. Depends on what you need for balance, but go up on your toes and then back on your heels, and up on your toes and back on your heels, and that's just going to help with flexing those joints and stuff. And you can do that 10 to 20 times once or twice a day as well, and that will just help to strengthen your ankles and your heels so that you don't get hurt. The next thing I want to talk about is that there's different kinds of heels. There's a lot of different kinds of heels, and especially if you're just getting started, some heels are easier to walk in than others. Even for me, and I walked in heels a lot for a long time. So one of the ones that I know is really hard to walk in are these. I love these type of heel. They are very pretty, they're very strappy, very fancy. I really like this style. However, as you can see, there's no support. So you would tie these around your ankle, but it doesn't give you really any support at all. So your center has to be here, and it's very hard. It can be very hard to walk in, especially because it depends on how tight you tie these strings around the ankle. You tie them too tight, they hurt when you move, because when you're walking, those muscles are going to flex in your calf, so they can kind of dig in. But if you tie them too loose, they're sliding all over, so it can be hard to find that balance. These are generally probably for me the hardest ones that I've seen to walk in. I know there's different tricks in tying them, but these still have to be my hardest. I wouldn't recommend them for a beginner. The other ones that I've had problems with in the past too are a basic pump. And the reason for this is because heel sizes tend to be different than your regular tennis shoes. So for your regular tennis shoes, I am like a 9.5. But in heels, I tend to run more of like an 8.5 or an 8. And some of that depends on, you're not wearing socks in a heel. You're wearing usually nylons or nothing. So that makes a big difference of the thickness of material there. And you typically want heels to fit a little closer than you would your tennis shoes. So just be aware that that's going to be a, different sizing. But if you don't have the correct size with this, and especially if you tend to flex your feet when you walk, your heel can pop out of this, and it can be, sometimes it can be hard to get back in. It can cause a lot of trouble. It can cause you to stumble. So when you're trying on pumps, just make sure that they fit right so that your heel isn't popping. And when you're walking, try to walk evenly like this. Don't flex your foot so much, or it can cause it to pop out. One of the most common ones that people recommend for starting out in heels would be a wedge like this, where it's one solid piece in the heel. It is pretty nice to walk in. You can get these in like a boot as well. You can get a lot of different styles with these. But I would say, again, don't get one with the ankle straps that like tie up the leg. Get one with like a secure belt strap like this that gives you more support, because you can tension it and it will keep your heel in, because it's going to be more custom to the size of your ankle and your heel. Get one like that, or you can sometimes find them in a boot too. As far as boots like this are a good option because they do give more support. Boots are typically going to give you the most support. Any type of boot is going to give you more support in the ankle, just because they're built up like that. So there's a stiff thing, so they tend to give more support. For a beginner, I would go with a wider heel like this, just because it's going to be a lot easier to walk in as far as balance than say something like this with a smaller heel. This is also a boot, but you can see the heel is a lot skinnier than this one. So this one is going to be harder to walk in. You're going to have a harder time finding a balance. So for beginners, I would say go with a wedge or a boot, or you could also try one of my favorites starting out were these. They had a very low heel, but they were very pretty, very sparkly. I loved walking in them. And they had the customizable strap here that you can size based on how your ankle is. That just helps your foot to stay in place. And these were really good when I first started wearing heels a lot. These were pretty much my go-to. I love the sparkle. So that's the other thing. Get a pair of heels that you really like. That's really important. Because you have to practice. You're not just going to put on a pair of heels and be good to go. You know, all shoes have a different, you know how when you get a new pair of tennis shoes, sometimes your feet hurt, and you know, it kind of takes a while, you got to break them in so that they don't hurt anymore. It's the same thing with heels, especially with heels because you're working with different heights. So this height, the heights of these boots are a lot taller than the heights of these. Now, that doesn't mean that these are going to be harder to walk in. In fact, these boots, I will walk a lot of places in. I love these boots. These are a pair of boots I will walk all day in. But your balance when you're walking is very different than with a smaller heel. So you need to practice in your shoes to get used to the different balances and how you're going to walk in them. So you should practice. You need to practice, and the best way, the way that I like to practice is before I'm going to go out, you know, I get my heels beforehand, before I'm going to go out or wear them in public to an event or whatever I'm doing. I will turn on some music and just walk around your house, turn on a good playlist that you really like that you can kind of groove to, and just walk. It's especially helpful if you have a mirror, you know, hold your shoulders straight. Do your model walk. I know it sounds silly, but you want to have that sort of confidence when you're wearing heels. So make sure you have something that you feel confident in. Also be aware that different heels you're going to be able to walk in for different lengths of times. For example, these heels I will not wear if I need to have something that I'm going to wear all day, or I'm going to be outside, or I'm going to do a lot of walking in, even if it's only for an hour or so. I'm not going to wear these. These are for an event that I'm mostly going to be sitting, that I'm only going to be there for an hour or so. It's not for anything extensive more than that, something where I'm mostly off of my feet, because these are more uncomfortable and they tend to hurt my feet if I go longer than that. Whereas these, like I mentioned before, are boots that I will walk around all day in, and I love, and I can go pretty far. Outside is fine. I'm very comfortable in them. Same with these and these. These are very good walking shoes. I will go all over the place with these. They're comfortable for me. Whereas these, again, for me, now I do have some pumps that are very comfortable, but for me, these are not a walking all day pair. So as you wear more heels and get used to them, you're going to find different things you can do for different amounts of time. So be aware of that when you're looking, what shoes should I wear for this? Be aware of what you're going to do, and then look at your shoes based on those categories. How long can I wear this? how much can I walk in these? That's important. Not all shoes are going to be the same that way. So practice, walk around, get that practice. And you might be practicing, you're probably going to practice walking in your heels for a few hours. Every pair that you get, I know it's a lot of work to put in, but you are going to walk and you're going to look very nice when you walk. And there's going to be a huge difference. You're not going to hurt. Your feet aren't going to hurt. They're going to hurt at first when you're practicing, but at the actual event, they're not going to hurt so much. You're going to be able to run and jump around more so than you would be able to if you never practiced. You're going to be a lot more stable. You're going to feel a lot more confident in them, and that's really going to show up. The biggest step in looking good in anything is how confident you are. If you're not confident, that's going to show. You can look good in something even that's not very fashionable or not very pretty or good looking. If you're confident, that's a huge part that I think a lot of people don't talk about. So just be confident with that and practice. So I hope that helps. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, when you're buying your shoes, really, if you're not going to be wearing heels all the time, they can get pretty expensive. So one of the tips that I really like for buying heels is buy them at thrift stores. Take a look around your thrift stores. A lot of people will wear heels, maybe not at all, or for just an hour or so, and then they donate them and they never wear them again because they sit in the closet. So if you're looking for affordable shoes, check your thrift stores. You can find a lot of unique things. When you're looking though, be aware, look in the front here, see if you can see any indents. You don't want anything indented because that's someone else's unique footprint, unique step, and that can cause you a lot of foot pain if it's different and molded to someone else's foot. You don't want to have that, so check in the front. You can usually tell if you can see footbeds of someone's foot and their imprint there. It's been worn probably too much, and you probably don't want to get that. Another thing you can check if you're not sure how much they have been worn is look at the ankle straps. You can typically see where the holes are. They get worn pretty fast. If it has an ankle strap, that's going to get worn pretty fast in whatever hole it was put in more of. So those are kind of ones that you want to stay away from when you're looking at thrift stores. But you can find a lot of heels that are unworn at a thrift store at a very affordable price. The other place that I like looking is the Macy's. In Macy's, there is things called the Last Act section and the Backstage section, and those are both discounted shoes, discounted very highly, and clearance, and they're brand new, never been worn. That's another great place to find heels. So I hope that really helps. Good luck walking. I'll see you guys later.